Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with jazz flautist Yulia Musayelyan. We caught up with her on April 25th, 2020 during the coronavirus quarantine to talk about her latest 2020 CD Unsaid and how she feels about it coming out during a pandemic. She was born in Moscow, Russia, and began her music studies at the age of 4. She would go on to become the 2001 recipient of the National Foundation for the Advancement in the Arts Award. She has great insights and she's going places in the world of jazz. Enjoy.
Thank you so much for calling. How are you doing?
Yeah. Hey, hanging in there. How you doing?
I'm all right.
So where are you located exactly?
I'm in Boston.
I've heard some stories from Boston. How's everything going?
Well, for us personally, everything is, we're very lucky to be able to, stay at home mostly and, still keep teaching and stuff like that. But, Massachusetts is kind of becoming a hot spot at the moment, so a lot of people are struggling. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that things had heated up. I kind of got the impression that there was a lot of places that were kind of flattening the curve. I know that Missouri had mentioned the other day that they were flattening and we're going to reopen some places on May 3rd.
Oh, wow. So soon.
And I did actually just talk to someone from Norway, and they said that this summer they're planning on having concerts, and they're going to have crowds of 500 or less, which sounds pretty optimistic.
Wow.
Yeah. So for all the news that we get that's not good, it's good to hear that there's good news.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I hope it stays good news, honestly. It's, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how things develop. It's really hard to tell. It's really hard to predict anything.
It is. It really is. It really is. So you have some new material out.
Yeah. I have a new CD coming out pretty soon in June, officially released in June.
So, and advanced copies have gone out. What is it like for you to have material come out during such a surreal and strange time in the world?
That's a great question. We kind of have a lot of time to think, almost kind of involuntarily. So I guess more than anything, I'm concerned about being able to present this music, and I really want to play it, because I've been looking forward to this for so long, and I'm really kind of want to present it to the world. But in a way, I'm really grateful to be able to have this on record so I can share the recording, and kind of communicate my way of, reflecting on the world through music, especially at a time like this. I think we kind of need it more than ever. So I'm happy to have the opportunity to do that, even if it's not live.
Yeah, without a doubt. So what have you been doing during this time creatively? How have you drawn strength to, do some things, and how have you kind of sensed that, we're going on about a month and a half now of being in quarantine?
I've gone back to playing a lot at home, which is really great, and I'm trying to balance that with, I also teach. I teach at Berklee College of Music, so I'm finishing up the semester online. So that's been pretty time consuming. But other than that, I've been, getting a chance to kind of rediscover a lot of the music that I've always wanted to play, but I've always been so busy kind of outside my house, with other gigs and other engagements that, this is a time that I can kind of come back to it and play. And I've been rediscovering a lot of Argentinian folklore that I really love, that I've wanted to play for a while. So doing some home recording, just kind of, almost using it as like a therapy for me, and an outlet to be able to play music and to make sounds and, to share some of that on Facebook and whatnot.
Well, music's been a part of your life for quite a while. You started playing at 4. You were born in Moscow. Talk to me a little bit about your childhood and your beginnings and how actually jazz became what you gravitated towards.
So I grew up in the Soviet Union until I was 11, and then my family moved to the United States. So my musical beginnings were, very strictly classical in terms of, what I was learning. I went to a professional music school since I was 6, and then before that I was doing just some kind of prep classes for ear training and that stuff. So it was very much kind of academic music. And then I continued with that after we moved to the U.S., and my introduction to jazz, I always like to improvise. I always like to listen to, kind of Russian bard songs and, improvise along with the radio and anything else I heard. But it was never in the jazz idiom, I guess, until my sophomore year in high school. I had a really fantastic band director who kind of introduced me to jazz, and it was like someone opening up the door to this world of sounds that I've never heard before, never experienced before. So it just opened up this kind of new universe that I fell in love with.
What musicians were there in the beginning that really blew you away?
I remember the first time I heard Joe Henderson. Somehow that, to me, his sound and his phrasing, and that just kind of blew my mind. I can't really, it's really hard to describe, the effect that it had on you. It's kind of like being slapped a little bit, but in a good way. It wakes you up. It kind of makes you go like, what was that? Let me hear that again, and then try to just get into that and try to understand it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, what was the first live jazz show you saw that really made you think, man, this is something I'd like to do with my life?
I went to see Brian Blade when they were passing through Boston. I was in high school, and they played at the Regatta Bar in Cambridge. And I had a seat kind of like by the drums, so it was really close, and I felt like I was a part of the music, of the beat, of the whole experience. So that to me, I think, was one of the most memorable kind of whole experiences. It felt like an out of body experience, and also I was 18 at the time, and that's kind of an age when you absorb things in a different way. You experience things, I think, with a much more heightened sensitivity, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. So what brought you to America? Was that always kind of a dream to come over?
Well, I actually didn't have, no one really asked me. I moved with my family. So, we got refugee status with my parents and my grandma and our cat. And so we came over when I was 11. So it wasn't anything that was really ever on my personal radar until we got here. And then it was, kind of the rest is history.
Yeah.
For me. Yeah, it was just kind of a part of the way things ended up being.
So
I'm glad they did.
Yeah, sure. So talk to me a little bit about mentors. Who's been really influential? What advice have you gotten over the years?
I've been really lucky starting with my parents, who are not musicians, but they always supported me since I was, very little, bringing me to this music teacher when I was 4, and then really supporting me in the music school that I was at. So I've always felt like this is something that I could do, and I really appreciate my family being so supportive without really, I guess, knowing what it entailed, but letting me discover my own path. And also my high school band director, who's now a dear colleague, Jeff Leonard, who was just so, besides really just kind of encouraging me all the way through and opening up all these opportunities to play jazz, to play in the combos, to play the flute in a different setting, not the expected kind of always classical realm. he always just kind of made me feel that, anything is possible. Music is music. You can use different vehicles of expression, and it doesn't have to be set to something that others expect of you. So I've always really taken that advice to heart and kind of, ran with it.
So what do you like best about being a musician?
That's a great question. I think the opportunity and the ability to experience music and experience sound in a different way, and kind of with this heightened sense of meaning, I guess. It's really hard for me to have music as a background because, all of the audio information just kind of keeps feeding in. And also for the opportunity to express myself through something other than words, to kind of interpret the world as I see it through sounds and to be able to share that. So it's very liberating.
So along those lines, why do you love jazz?
Again, the freedom aspect. It's this freedom of expression. To me, it's just been. I feel like I can breathe.
Yeah, right on. So we're obviously going to get back to the music, and of course, just hearing somebody from Norway say that there's a chance this summer that 500 or less, that's a pretty big dose of sunlight. But eventually we will get back to the music, both as audience and as musician. So my question to you is this: what realizations or revelations do you hope all of us collectively get during this absence of live jazz?
What I'm really hoping for is during this time, people are really struggling, some more than others, and I feel like art in general, not just live music, but also, all the arts. It's been such a kind of a healing aspect that I'm really hoping that there is a newly found appreciation of just how important, how fundamental all the arts are to us as humans and to us collectively as a society. I don't know how long that's going to take, but I really hope that that's kind of the lesson that we'll take away from this.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the interesting thing about this, I think, is that at the end of the day, art is what's going to save us in this time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So my final question to you is this. We all, everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, your fans, but you're living your life. Who do you think you are?
That's a fantastic question. I'm just trying to, I think I'm a human, trying to kind of paint the world, reflect on the world as I see it. I think I'm just someone who's trying to do their best in doing that, and I'm also someone who's very lucky to have to be a musician. I think it's a privilege, and it's something that we really work on. But it is a privilege to be able to do what you love and to be able to communicate, have that form of communication with the world when words kind of are not sufficient. So I guess I'm just a human trying to interpret the world through sound.
Wonderful. Hey, thank you for taking some time out today to talk with the show. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for reaching out.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in Russia, the United States, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Yulia for her time, music, and stories. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com for everything Neon Jazz all the time. Go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.